Qualities of a narcissist, the dark psychology behind their personality. Or, when most people hear the word narcissist, they imagine vanity, mirror selfies, or arrogance. But the reality is more complex and more dangerous. A narcissist builds an identity that depends on control, admiration, and the manipulation of others. This video explores the real qualities of a narcissist, the traits that let them seduce, destabilize, and dominate relationships, workplaces, and families. You'll learn how they operate, why they develop these patterns, and how recognizing these qualities is the first step to reclaiming your life. Let's begin by dismantling the myth and entering the psychology. The mask, the false self. A narcissist often constructs a false self, a carefully curated persona designed to impress, to control, and to conceal. This mask is not a costume worn for parties. It becomes the preferred reality. To maintain it, the narcissist must be admired, validated, and rarely challenged. The false self is polished, dramatic, and convincing. It presents confidence where insecurity hides, certitude where doubt exists, and dominance where dependence simmers. The person behind the mask is frequently confused and frightened, but those feelings are never allowed to show. Instead, the mask is fed constantly. Why? Because exposure equals collapse. Admiration keeps the mask intact. Criticism fractures it. The quality here is not charisma alone, but performance as survival. Examples. Scenario. In the workplace, the narcissist praises you lavishly in private, then takes credit in a meeting. Scenario. In a relationship, they center your early weeks on grand romantic gestures, then use small criticisms to destabilize you. Mini dialogue. You. I felt hurt when you canceled. Narcissist. You're so dramatic. You always overreact. Reflection. This pattern repeats because the narcissist calculates risk and reward. They deepen the bond when it serves them and erode it when necessary to regain power or punish. Clinical perspective. Psychologists describe this as a maladaptive set of coping mechanisms. Although labels vary, research suggests patterns of attachment disruption and emotion dysregulation often underlie these behaviors. Understanding the clinical framing helps demystify abuse and points toward evidence-based interventions such as cognitive behavioral therapy, schema therapy, and trauma-informed approaches. Insatiable need for supply. Narcissists rely on what therapists call narcissistic supply, external validation that sustains their fragile ego. This supply comes in many forms: compliments, attention, influence, fear, or admiration. It can be applause in a boardroom, likes on social media, or a partner's unwavering approval. When supply is plentiful, the narcissist thrives. When it dwindles, they fall into shame, anger, or manipulation. The pursuit of supply explains behaviors that seem irrational: grandstanding, exaggeration, relentless self-promotion, and even cruelty. The supply is not optional. It is psychological oxygen. Examples. Scenario. A social event becomes the stage for their performance. Attention and envy are the currency. Scenario. At home, intermittent praise keeps the partner hoping for more validation. Mini dialogue. You. Why do you need everyone to notice you? Narcissist. Because I give them something to admire. They should be grateful. Reflection. The supply cycle creates intense highs and deep collapses. Intermittent reinforcement. Praise, sometimes given, sometimes withheld, creates strong emotional attachment, similar to gambling or intermittent reward learning. Clinical perspective. Clinicians note that reliance on external supply often coexists with low self-cohesion and identity diffusion. Treatment focuses on developing internal sources of validation and repairing attachment wounds. Grandiosity and entitlement. Grandiosity in narcissists is more than self-confidence. It is an inflated self-image that claims special status and unique rights. Entitlement follows, an expectation that the world owes them preferential treatment. This quality creates a moral economy different from the rest of us. Rules apply to others but rarely to them. Entitlement expresses itself as impatience with delays, rage when needs are unmet, and contempt for those who resist their demands. Together, grandiosity and entitlement justify unethical behavior, exploitative choices, and boundary violations because the narcissist believes, often unconsciously, that they deserve more. Examples. Scenario: a colleague expects promotions and credit regardless of contribution. Scenario: a partner expects immediate forgiveness and accommodations without reflection. Mini dialogue: You can't just take credit for that. Narcissist: I deserved it more than anyone. Reflection: grandiosity functions as defense. By puffing up externally, the narcissist hides internal emptiness. Entitlement lubricates their moral rationalizations. Clinical perspective: grandiosity often masks insecure self-worth and is sometimes interpreted as compensatory behavior for early invalidation or abuse. Empathy: deficit, the absence of true feeling. A defining destructive quality of narcissists is their empathy deficit. They may be skilled at mimicking emotions, saying the right words at the right time, but they rarely experience true empathic resonance. Empathy requires the capacity to feel with another person and to accept their suffering as significant. Narcissists can recognize emotions intellectually, but cannot connect to them authentically. This gap allows them to harm others without remorse, to trade affection for advantage, and to dismiss suffering as inconvenient. Their empathy is conditional, performative, and often strategic. Examples. Scenario: a friend reveals trauma. The narcissist uses it later as a way to manipulate sympathy. Scenario: in conflict, the narcissist offers hollow apologies designed to soothe observers but not repair harm. Mini dialogue: I need you to understand how hurt I am. Narcissist: I understand, but maybe you're overreacting. Reflection: the empathy deficit is perhaps the most painful discovery for victims because it removes the possibility of mutual healing. It makes forgiveness precarious and often leads to repeated harm. Clinical perspective: modern research distinguishes cognitive empathy, understanding another's feelings, from effective empathy, feeling them. Narcissists may retain cognitive empathy while lacking effective empathy. Manipulation. As default. Manipulation is not only a tactic for narcissists, it is an operating system. Subtlety often wins where overt aggression would fail. They employ sophisticated psychological strategies, mirroring to create trust, love bombing to inspire dependency, gaslighting to confuse perception, triangulation to breed jealousy, and silent treatment to punish. Each tactic serves a function: acquire supply, maintain control, avoid accountability. The manipulative quality is adaptive and dynamic. The narcissist adjusts strategies to the terrain and the target's vulnerabilities. Examples. Scenario: a manager praises one employee to foster dependence, then leverages that loyalty for personal gain. Scenario: in dating, early intensity breeds attachment. Later withdrawal punishes and tests loyalty. Mini dialogue: why are you always playing games? Narcissist: I'm not playing games, you just don't see things clearly. Reflection: manipulation is research-driven in many cases. Narcissists learn quickly what elicits reactions and refine their methods. Clinical perspective: interventions often focus on recognizing patterns and building resistance to manipulation, including assertiveness training and trauma-informed care. Microaggressions and gradual erosion. Rather than attacking all at once, many narcissists erode another's confidence incrementally. Microaggressions,
Backhanded compliments, subtle dismissals, harmless jokes accumulate. This slow drip cultivates doubt. Over time, the target begins to question their judgment, to minimize their pain, and to normalize behavior that would be unacceptable if blatant. The psychological cruelty lies in pacing, small, plausible, and deniable moments that, together, disfigure a person's self-trust. Examples. Scenario. A partner repeatedly teasing about your concerns until you stop voicing them. Scenario. A supervisor's little digs that undermine confidence over months. Mini dialogue. You. That comment hurt me. Narcissist. I was only joking. You need to lighten up. Reflection. Dismissing pain as humor or sensitivity is a classic method of invalidation. It trains victims to second-guess their reactions. Clinical perspective. This pattern is subtle but toxic. Therapists emphasize gradual boundary reinforcement and reality testing as antidotes. Gaslighting. Stealing.
Reality. Gaslighting is a core quality in manipulative narcissists. It is not merely lying, it is a sustained campaign to rewrite someone's memory and perception. Through denial, contradiction, and careful re-narration, the narcissist plants seeds of self-doubt. Victims often replay conversations, searching for mistakes that aren't there. The gaslighter's aim is not to prove the target wrong objectively, but to replace the target's certainty with uncertainty. Certainty that benefits the abuser. Examples. Scenario. A partner insists events occurred differently, insisting the other is mistaken. Scenario. A manager rewrites outcomes to shift blame onto an employee. Mini dialogue. You promised we'd prioritize this. Narcissist. I never said that. You're imagining things. Reflection. Gaslighting corrodes the trust in your own perception, the most intimate form of coercion. It makes victims dependent on the gaslighter for clarity. Clinical perspective. Gaslighting has recognized cognitive effects. Victims show decreased confidence and increased reliance on the abuser's narrative. Narcissistic rage and defensiveness. Underneath the veneer of superiority lies fragility. Critique or slights, real or imagined, trigger intense defensive reactions. Narcissistic rage can be explosive. Shouting, insults, threats. It can also be quiet, withdrawal, icy contempt, or long-term devaluation. Rage functions to reassert dominance and to silence witnesses. It signals that the fragile structure of the false self is being threatened and must be defended at any cost. Examples. Scenario. A public correction triggers a disproportionate attack designed to humiliate the critic. Scenario. Private criticism produces weeks of cold silence and passive aggression. Mini dialogue. I don't like that you spoke to me that way. Narcissist. How dare you accuse me? You're ungrateful. Reflection. Rage is control in action. It signals danger and often coerces submission or apology. Clinical perspective. Therapists advise safety planning for those in relationships with volatile individuals and recommend regulated exposure to criticism in therapy for the narcissist when possible. Envy, competition, and sabotage. Narcissists are often consumed by envy. They resent authenticity, success, or joy in others because these things highlight their own deficiencies. Envy fuels competition, backhanded praise, and sabotage. This quality becomes particularly toxic in workplaces and families where comparison is constant. A narcissist might belittle a colleague's achievement or undermine a sibling's confidence to keep the spotlight. Examples. Scenario. A co-worker subtly discredits another's idea to steal recognition. Scenario. A family member sabotages a relative's celebration with a critical remark. Mini dialogue. You seemed upset about my promotion. Narcissist. Well, it was always going to be mine, wasn't it? Reflection. Envy is internalized. Humiliation turned outward. It seeks to level others to the narcissist's perceived status. Clinical perspective. Envy is linked to fragile self-concepts and can be addressed by therapeutic work on self-worth and alternative reinforcement. Superficiality and image management. The narcissist cares about how they are seen, not how they are. Their social life is often a stage. Image management is constant. Curated social media feeds, strategic networking, performative generosity. Depth threatens the image. Vulnerability threatens the mask. So relationships often remain shallow, transactional, and performative, useful for status or validation, but lacking in reciprocity or real intimacy. Examples. Scenario: public gestures of charity that disappear when the cameras are off. Scenario: a relationship built around appearances, vacation photos and curated narratives, not real connection. Mini dialogue. You. Do you ever feel real gratitude? Narcissist. Of course, when it counts. Reflection. Public persona and private reality often diverge dramatically in narcissistic individuals. Clinical perspective. Work on authenticity and shame is central to treating image-focused behaviors. Contrived charisma in narcissists is often contrived rather than emergent. They learn to appear magnetic, polished speech, confident gestures, a talent for timing. Charisma is a tool to attract supply. The quality includes charm, theatricality, and strategic generosity. When charisma is genuine, it invites deep connection. When contrived, it serves as bait for exploitation. Examples. Scenario: a charismatic leader who galvanizes a team and then takes credit for others' labor. Scenario: an attractive partner whose charm evaporates when intimacy demands vulnerability. Mini dialogue. You made everyone feel special. Narcissist. Of course, it's important to inspire. Reflection. Charisma can hide intent. It's a social lubricant that smooths access to supply. Clinical perspective. Distinguishing authentic leadership from manipulative charisma requires observing behavior over time and assessing for empathy and accountability. Boundary violation and control. Narcissists routinely violate boundaries, not always aggressively, but persistently. They intrude on privacy, deflect accountability, and prioritize their needs over explicit requests. Their sense of entitlement makes boundaries seem laughable. When confronted, they spin narratives that blame the victim for overreacting or being too sensitive. This tactic erodes assertiveness and encourages compliance. Examples. Scenario: constant, harmless, checking of messages presented as concern. Scenario: using guilt to pressure someone into changing plans. Mini dialogue. I need some space right now. Narcissist. You always shut me out. You're punishing me. Reflection. Boundary erosion is psychological containment. Over time, victims accept diminished autonomy. Clinical perspective. Boundary training, assertiveness skills, and community support help people recover agency. Instrumental relationships. For narcissists, relationships are instruments. People are valued for what they provide: admiration, access, status, resources, or leverage. Love as an unconditional mutual bond is rare. Instead, attachments are strategic. Loyalty is demanded, not earned. Partnerships are assessed for utility, and when utility fades, so does the relationship. Examples. Scenario: maintaining friendships for prestige and distancing when they are no longer useful. Scenario: marriages where one partner is valued for status or resources rather than emotional reciprocity. Mini dialogue. Do you love me? Narcissist. I appreciate what you bring to my life. Reflection. Instrumental relationships reduce people to functions. This objectification is corrosive and dehumanizing. Clinical perspective. Therapy for survivors focuses on reconstructing relational schemas that honor mutuality and intrinsic worth. Accountability deficit. A narcissist rarely accepts responsibility. Owning mistakes would require confronting imperfection, which is intolerable. Instead, they blame shift, gaslight, minimize, or weaponize remorse to extract forgiveness while avoiding change. Their narratives center on victimhood when convenient and on moral superiority when advantageous. This evasion preserves the illusion that they are blameless and always justified. Examples. Scenario: a public scandal is reframed as misinterpretation or sabotage by enemies. Scenario: private harm is dismissed as the other person's sensitivity. Mini dialogue: You hurt me by doing that. Narcissist: if you felt hurt, that's on you. Reflection: absence of accountability prevents repair and perpetuates cycles of harm. Clinical perspective: intervention requires clear, enforceable consequences and external support. Recovery for the narcissist is rare without sustained motivation and therapeutic commitment. Coercive kindness, love bombing, and hoovering. Narcissists frequently practice alternating cycles of cruelty and coerced kindness. Love bombing floods the target with praise and devotion to secure attachment. Hoovering occurs after a discard, when the narcissist reappears to reclaim supply with apologies, false promises, or renewed seduction. These cycles confuse the target and reinforce dependency. Hope remains alive because moments of kindness suggest possible change. Examples. Scenario: an ex re-enters with grand apologies and promises that mirror the initial idealization. Scenario: during a breakup, intermittent affection serves to destabilize and pull the partner back into a toxic orbit. Mini dialogue: why did you leave? Narcissist: I panicked. I was scared. I never meant to hurt you. Reflection: cycles of warmth and withdrawal create a trauma bond requiring careful unraveling. Clinical perspective: pattern recognition and boundary enforcement are crucial to break these cycles. Adaptive masking in different contexts. Narcissists adapt their presentation to their environment. In professional spaces, they may become charming, visionary leaders who take credit. In family contexts, they may perform the role of doting parent or sacred elder. In public, they are philanthropic, honorable, or exemplary. This adaptive masking makes detection difficult. It also protects the narcissist's reputation, allowing them to continue manipulative behaviors in private. Examples. Scenario: a beloved community figure who privately mistreats those close to them. Scenario: a high-performing employee who undermines colleagues while appearing collaborative to managers. Mini dialogue: you're so generous in public. Narcissist: of course, it's part of my values. Reflection: adaptive masking buys safety and long-term access to supply. Clinical perspective: observing patterns across contexts reveals the true persistent qualities beyond performance. Coexistence with other disorders. Narcissistic traits can overlap with other personality patterns, antisocial tendencies, borderline features, or histrionic behavior. When malignant narcissism is present, traits like cruelty, lack of remorse, and sadistic enjoyment can appear. Comorbidity complicates responses and interventions and often worsens outcomes for those ensnared by such individuals. Examples. Scenario: a narcissist with antisocial tendencies may escalate to exploitative behavior that breaks laws. Scenario: co-occurring mood instability complicates relational volatility. Mini dialogue: this is getting dangerous. Narcissist: you're exaggerating like always. Reflection: complex presentations require specialized clinical assessment. Clinical perspective: comorbidity increases treatment difficulty and often necessitates integrated psychiatric and psychotherapeutic care. Why these qualities develop? Understanding the origin of narcissistic qualities does not excuse them, but it clarifies their function. Many narcissists develop these features through early experiences: inconsistent caregiving, emotional neglect, overvaluation, or trauma. A child who receives conditional love learns to perform to survive. A child who is idolized without limits learns to expect adulation as a default. Over time, these survival strategies calcify into personality structures. Examples. Scenario: an overpraising parent teaches a child to equate validation with worth. Scenario: a neglectful household teaches a child to manufacture attention externally. Mini dialogue. You. Why are you like this? Narcissist. I had to be. It was necessary to survive. Reflection. Early attachment wounds produce adult strategies that can be harmful when rigidly applied. Clinical perspective. Attachment-based therapies and trauma work can address origins, but change is slow and requires consistent motivation. The human cost. The human cost of narcissism is profound. Emotional exhaustion, identity erosion, chronic anxiety, and trauma bonding are common among those who have long relationships with narcissists. Children raised in narcissistic households often struggle with boundaries and self-worth. Professional environments suffer from reduced morale, burnout, and sabotage. Societies lose empathy when narcissistic values, status, image, and dominance are elevated above mutual care. Examples. Scenario: a team under a narcissistic leader experiences high turnover. Scenario: a family under a narcissistic parent develops patterns of codependency and avoidance. Mini dialogue. You. I feel numb from all this. Narcissist, that's your problem to deal with. Reflection. Survivors often require long-term therapeutic work to recover voice and agency. Clinical perspective. Recovery includes rebuilding a coherent sense of self, strengthening boundaries, and re-establishing trustworthy relationships. Recognition. Signs to watch for recognizing the qualities of a narcissist can be a protective act. Warning signs include rapid, intense affection, consistent boundary crossing, entitlement, lack of genuine empathy, manipulative patterns, reactive rage to criticism, and a pattern of discarded relationships. Trust your nervous system. If interactions leave you confused, drained, or chronically self-doubting, pause and assess for a pattern rather than isolated incidents. Examples. Scenario: people consistently complaining about similar behavior across different contexts. Scenario: a history of short, intense relationships followed by sudden endings. Mini dialogue. You. I feel like I'm losing myself. Narcissist, you're too dramatic. Reflection. Validation from trusted others helps confirm and clarify the pattern. Clinical perspective. Documenting interactions and seeking objective feedback can assist in recognizing patterns. Strategies for self-protection. Practical strategies reduce harm. Set clear, enforceable boundaries. Cultivate external supports. Limit disclosure of vulnerabilities. Document interactions when necessary. And seek therapy or peer support. In extreme cases, no contact may be the safest option. Healing involves reclaiming identity, re-establishing trust in perception, and rebuilding a life where validation comes from within rather than being outsourced to a manipulative other. Examples. Scenario: preparing exit plans from an abusive partnership. Scenario: using written communication in professional settings to reduce manipulation. Mini dialogue. You. I'm going to limit our contact for now. Narcissist. You can't do that. You're being irrational. Reflection. Consistency matters. Boundaries must be enforced to be effective. Clinical perspective. Support groups and trauma-informed therapy aid recovery. Exiting the cycle. Exiting a relationship with a narcissist often requires planning. Emotional detachment is difficult because of trauma bonding and intermittent reinforcement. Create practical steps, Prepare for pushback and seek professional guidance. Anticipate hoovering and manipulation attempts. Maintain boundaries and prioritize safety. The goal is not vengeance but liberation, restoring autonomy and psychological safety. Examples. Scenario: gradual disengagement followed by total separation when safe. Scenario: legal and financial planning prior to leaving a shared household. Mini dialogue. You: I'm leaving. Narcissist: you can't do that. Think of everything you'll lose. Reflection. Leaving is often the most dangerous phase. Safety planning is essential. Clinical perspective. Therapists recommend safety, legal counsel, and a strong support network during exits. Conclusion of the reflection. Narcissists are not monsters born whole. They are damaged people who chose survival strategies that harm others. They reflect cultural trends, wealth, image, individualism that reward superficial success. But understanding the qualities of a narcissist empowers you to see the mask and refuse to play the part they've scripted for you. When you reclaim your perception, you reclaim your life. When you stop feeding the mask, it begins to crack. And the person wearing it is forced to confront the emptiness they have been hiding, sometimes for the first time in their life. Final note: recognizing these qualities is not about labeling someone cruelly. It's about safeguarding your mental life. Armed with knowledge, you can set clearer boundaries, seek support, and rebuild identity outside the influence of manipulation. Knowledge is not vengeance. It is freedom. Hold it gently and use it wisely.